Welcome everybody back to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. It's another top quality interview on the show. This time from a clothing company that's taken the wrestling world by storm. I'm joined by Allan from Blacksmith Clothing. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Good, good, good. What one have you got on? Is that Leon?
I've got the Leon Slater Youngstown charge on.
I had the Bullet Club one. I wasn't quite sure which one to wear between Will, Scott Hall, and Bullet Club, but I chose Bullet Club, please.
Nice. Yeah, that's definitely one of the favourites.
It certainly is. And before we get into all of that and how it all began, I'd love to hear the story. Was there a wrestling background for you? Did you enjoy watching it? Was that how this all come about originally, from a fan of being a fan of wrestling?
Yeah, I grew up on TNA and still to
Yes.
this day, massive TNA mark, as a lot of people in the UK have been and currently are. So yeah, I got into TNA probably about '07, '08. So, during the period of AJ, Angle, all of those, the X Division. And then sort of slowly discovered more about wrestling. Went in and out of it during phases, but like always had an interest, especially in the sort of from the '90s Attitude Era, world of sports stuff. Always piqued my interest. So yeah, I've always had an interest in wrestling, and that was obviously the main catalyst in putting together Blacksmith from the start.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we are very good friends of TNA ourselves. Regularly get their stars on before big pay-per-views. So we're UK media partners of
Yeah,
TNA. So I love TNA as well. Had done for a while. Went to see it many times over here in the UK. Hopefully they'll will be back soon. You mentioned AJ Styles. People, was that like your favourites watching TNA? Was it the X Division style, or was you a bit more of the bigger stars or the X Division?
yeah, X Division. I think so. When I came into TNA, I wasn't, I didn't know these people jumping over from
Mm.
WWE. I wasn't aware of the background, so it was definitely your AJs. I mean, all the TNA originals, really. Eric Young's, Kazarian's, Daniels. But yeah, massive soft spot for the X Division.
Yeah, definitely. So they're bringing back Ultimate X, from what I hear, in a
Yeah,
few short weeks at Emergence. Looking forward to that. So let's just start, because obviously you don't just wake up in the morning and go, "I'm going to make a wrestling shirt company." What is the kind of, before you get into how it all? How long did the process start from you saying, "I've got an idea," and then it becoming a reality?
in all honesty, about 2 weeks. Which is very different. I mean, it didn't start as a massive business plan or anything like that. It gradually, very organically, came from designing one shirt, and that was Bret Hart shirt,
Mhm.
putting that online, and then very slowly getting some organic sort of traction online, and it sort of stemmed from there. So everything was a process from that, rather than me having the massive plan of Blacksmith and the whole like business plan. So it just started from putting out that concept design really, and as it grew, I've grown to learn how to essentially put together the whole company.
Interesting. What was it? Because it's more like football jerseys, aren't they? So
Yeah,
was there another love of football there in between? Did you kind of think how they would work together?
yeah, it was always like an interest in football and football shirts. That being, football shirts have sort of had a renaissance in the UK, and they've become, I guess, fashionable for even non-football fans. So there was something there in wanting to do merchandise that just wasn't a t-shirt, something that I'd wear myself. It was just basically things that I wanted to wear, and I knew that it would resonate with other people. So yeah, it stemmed from a love of football and wrestling together.
Is there a particular football team or just football in general?
West Ham.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Yeah. I'm a fan of another London football club. It's not West Ham though. It would be Spurs.
Oh no.
Yeah. Should we end the interview now?
Yeah, I think we can talk about the wrestling.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about? I mean, obviously, I know you've done the wrestling stuff, but has there ever been any sort of idea of doing a football one? I know they do their own kind of thing, but trying to make
Yeah.
a football way of doing it?
Yeah, I think there's been interest in maybe doing like a non-league side, and going into that aspect of sort of the manufacturing, but that's also a lot more driven in sort of the materials and all that sort of stuff rather than the design. So it'd probably take a while to sort of merge into that area, but it's definitely something I'd be interested in doing.
Cool. I support, actually, to be, although I'm a Spurs fan, I do support a non-league football club. It's in step three. Canvey Island is where I
Yeah,
live. So my boy plays for their under 10. So we go there every home game. So there we go. You can use Canvey
definitely. Yeah.
as a guinea pig, so to speak. And obviously you said about the Bret Hart one. How did it all come about getting the wrestlers on board? I know obviously you don't want to delve too much into contracts and stuff like that, but how did it sort of grow from Brett and then the next one?
Yeah, so I think the first official where I'm doing it directly for a licensing agreement was well, there's two. There was British Bulldog,
Yeah.
which I was put in touch with George Smith, the daughter
Yes.
of
Daughter British
British
Bulldog. Yeah.
Bulldog, and that happened very organically as a UK. He's a UK legend, a
Yeah.
wrestling legend worldwide, and that sort of happened very organically. But um, I guess the way that I've done it from there and with most wrestlers is just directly with the wrestlers. Like not all wrestlers are represented by
Yeah.
an agency or have their promotions doing the licensing. So the first major wrestler we had on board was Josh Alexander, and that was not a football shirt, but just to do his ring gear. He
Yeah.
got in touch and said, can you make me a rash guard for my entrance gear because I really, like stuff. So that sort of stemmed from there. And then I thought, sort of had the idea of, there's a ton of people in TNA on the independents who have their merchandise, but it's not on the level of the top stars, and even like the top stars don't particularly have the merchandise that they would like to have. So yeah, there was an interest there to have sort of level the playing field between what independent wrestlers and TNA wrestlers can put out compared to the top Cody Rhodeses and Roman Reigns. And I feel like that's something that I'm trying to achieve. Level the playing field to offer everyone the same sort of opportunity to put out that top level of merchandise.
Yeah, it's certainly top level of merchandise, that's for sure, without a doubt. Is there any sort? I know you sort of mentioned about football. Is there any sort of ideas of branching away from the football jersey? I know in America, obviously basketball and American football kind of thing, but is there any ideas about branching away? I know you've got tracksuits as well, but is there any other things in the pipeline that you can discuss?
Yeah, I think we'll be moving on to quite a few sort of just more streetwear branded things. We're going to be having a few exclusive items at our shop in Wembley. So that'll be sort of acid wash t-shirts. More that'll be our first time actually just doing a normal t-shirt.
Mhm.
And there'll be exclusive designs. But moving on to sort of future collaborations that we have, I think it really fits in to start doing some more retro designs, windbreakers, a lot of 90s wrestling inspired stuff. So just sort of expanding what we currently do, and then also moving into other sports with jerseys, like you said.
Yeah, excellent stuff. Looking forward to that. Obviously, you got Leo. You mentioned Leon Slater and Will Ospreay because of how much the British independent scene has blown up now. Is there more of a demand for the British guys just as much as there is the American? You got Oku as well. Sorry, I forgot Michael Oku.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say that like even from a US standpoint, a lot of US people are getting into this sort of their British scene because of Osprey jumping over to AEW, becoming more familiar with people who have big matches like Michael Oku. So there's a demand there to be able to support your wrestlers from over the pond. And then the fact that they can easily access that merchandise is like a big thing. So there's definitely a lot of interest from people who just want to may not even be like the biggest fan of wrestler or not be that familiar, but see a design and say, I really want to support that guy. I've seen that guy have a few matches like a Leon Slater. Loads of US fans since TNA debut have gone onto the site and bought his stuff, and they want to represent because they can see that Leon Slater is on his way to becoming one of the best wrestlers in the world.
Yeah, he certainly is. There's no doubt about it. It's quite. Did you know it's that same with Osprey as well when he jumped to AEW? I know he was a big name before that because he'd been on
Yeah.
AEW a couple of times, but since since they've actually gone there full time, has there been a bigger sort of barrage on there from America since then?
Absolutely. I mean, the way he sort of burst onto the scene, and I think he's exceeded everyone's expectations. He was already, many people would say he's the best wrestler in the world, but the way he's, I think, been marketed and sort of built a brand for himself, and I guess we sort of helped to build a little bit of that with him. Yes, really taken to the sort of American fans and North American fans, which is, not an easy thing to do, and they've done really well with like his merchandise on the AEW side of things, and his catchphrases. Just he's done really well for himself and from a brand side of things, which is like I think he obviously everyone knows he had everything on the wrestling side of things, and it was just sort of generating those sort of phrases, those trademarks, that branding, having like a color associated with his brand, the green,
Yeah.
which is sort of taking him really to that really top level.
Yeah, certainly so. Because obviously the United Empire one, that's the one I actually got, not
Yeah.
the particular, but the United Empire one's the one I have. And obviously, is there kind of a hope that they reunites to somewhat in AEW, and then that shirt could then? I know you obviously say you've had the barrage of them since then, but to have the United Empire and then come out together, that could then once again maybe a restock of United Empire stuff might
Yeah,
be needed.
definitely. I think if there's any possibility of seeing, I think a lot of people would be interested in seeing a United United Empire. And maybe if we did something, tweak the jerseys, maybe did like a different colorway with the green trim. I think there'd definitely been a lot of interest in that.
Yeah, definitely so. I would like that for sure. But now you just announced, I believe, was it Lucha Brothers,
Yeah,
Penta, and Ray Phoenix is another one. Is it? Obviously, I don't want to disparage any like WWE or anything like that. But although they've signed for AEW, is it a little bit easier to deal with them rather than because obviously WWE have their own, they kind of do their own
yeah,
merch and all of that. Is it easier to deal with like the TNAs and the AEWs?
yeah. I'd say especially for TNA, where you have your all of the sort of contracted talent can are free to do their own merchandise. But AEW works a bit differently. Some people can, some people can't. But yeah, definitely getting in touch and people having the ability to sort of utilize their own trademarks is a great thing with AEW and TNA and the independents. And yeah, I think more people on the independents are sort of taking notes from people like Matt Cardona, who've
Yeah.
utilized their own branding superbly and sort of building their own brand, trademarking their names, things like that, which are really important, but not a lot of things that wrestlers sort of look at and that side of things.
No, definitely so. Looking forward to the drop of the Lucha Brothers. Obviously, one of the most exciting tag teams that AEW have. But also, there's a lot of interest, obviously, in New Japan and a lot of the New Japan stuff you got coming on. How is the Japanese fans taken to it?
So it was I'd say that was a difficult thing adjusting in terms of when we're dropping items for like a US or a UK fan base, evening time for us works well. And we sort of had to adjust that to accommodate, the Japanese audience. But I think because it's something quite unique on their side of things, and a lot of people there's been like equal amounts of interest internationally, I'd say. But yeah, it's something really special when you see it like in the actual New Japan crowd. As opposed to just like a UK show, because that is the our sort of main partner. So it's great to see when you have like those wrestlers or those fans at New Japan representing the merchandise.
I was going to say it must also be. I think I saw Josh Alexander this week on Impact walk
Yeah,
out with the blacks with the logo on there. Does that
yeah,
give you a sense of pride as well? Even though that, as you say, it's not necessarily the fans buying it, but when the actual guys are out there walking out with the shirt, it must be a good feeling for that.
yeah, definitely. Because I mean, on one hand, it's merchandise and they're wearing it to sell it, but on the other hand, I know for a fact that a lot of them wear it because they just like wearing their own merchandise that I've created in partnership with them, and it's something that, especially between myself and Josh, being able to sort of build a brand, and he's sort of the first wrestler where I'll say, I've got these tracksuits I'm willing to try out. Do you want to wear them on TV? And he's saying, I like these colors. These go with like my ring gear, and we're able to put something together. So yeah, it's always a good feeling to see wrestlers representing sort of merchandise that we've put together, but also that they've had involvement in putting together with us.
Yeah, definitely. Is it important as well about the color inside and getting something that as you just sort of said, kind of maps within their character?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think every wrestler should have look for sort of anything that can sort of strengthen their brand, and the color is one of the best things to do. Like you've got Bret Hart with the pink, Taz with the orange, and I think there's very few wrestlers that are able to sort of do a range. I think John Cena is probably the main one that comes to mind, where he can just do any color he wants, and you still associate it with John Cena. Because, yeah, but I think it's really important. Like, there's a lot of meaning when you associate a brand color to what you're doing and creating, and having consistent ring gear is really important. Just for that sort of recognizable aspect. And just adding something to your character as well. So I'd definitely encourage sort of any independent wrestler out there. Matt Cardona put a post out, but you should always have your own logo, your own
Yes.
sort of catchphrase, anything that you can put on a shirt like that, and just keep it consistent. So always have that stuff on your ring gear. Another person who's absolutely great at doing that stuff in the UK is a man like Doris, who's
Yeah.
sort of the king of marketing, king of merchandise. So yeah, he's definitely another person to look at alongside Cardona for like inspiration on that side of things.
I remember we interviewed Matt Cardona last year, and he said like he goes to these events and he sees them all talking and like stuff like that, and he's too busy putting his merch and selling
Yeah,
his merch because that's what he's like, obviously that's what he's there to do, to make money and to have, as you say, to have logos and branding that's associated to him and catchphrases. And again, you made an important one. Trademarking is also important, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. It's something that I think only in the last couple of years wrestlers have really taken like a notice of seriously, coming out of sort of when they're coming out of WWE or doing their own independent thing, and not just from a legal standpoint, but just being able to have that as yours and re-emphasize that sort of branding. And it's, I think, definitely like a worthwhile investment if you're able to get a trademark for sort of phrases, and there's a reason why WWE are the first to sort of trademark any sort of phrase as soon as it happens on TV because they know, from a profitability side or just from an exclusivity side, how important it is.
Yeah, definitely. So as we start to wrap up on this, I know you obviously you've got a load of talent on there. Is there a talent in particular, if you could have anybody, if you could, free reign, who would be three guys or girls that you would choose?
So I think I'll give you one legend, one current male, and one woman.
Perfect.
So for the legend, I think still active, but consider a legend, Jeff Hardy.
Yeah, brilliant.
Just because everything, the possibilities are endless. Like looking back to old ring gears, there's so many things we can do. For a female wrestler, Jordan Grace, I think would be perfect and would be someone I'd love to work with. As a male wrestler, it'd probably be, I think, CM Punk is one that I'd definitely have at the top of my list.
I would love you to do a bloodline one.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I think again, like when we talk back to the branding, how quick WWE just to
Yeah,
trademark any sort of word that pops up and generate. Yeah, I mean that was like a case of really good merchandising from them, and like the colors, like the red and black
yeah,
association with Reigns and Bloodline. So yeah, they've done really well with that, and I think with the tracksuits as well would be something that would be really cool to do.
yeah, yeah. Because likes a tracksuit, doesn't he?
Yeah,
He
it
wears
does
that
like a
quite.
tracksuit. Yeah.
He wears a tracksuit quite a lot. I noticed the Rascal shirt behind you. Has it been also interesting because of the TNA WWE, the fact that the Rascals have been on and getting that exposure? I'm not sure. I can't remember if they've worn the shirt on NXT. You may be able to know that or not, but
Yeah,
they have. Perfect. So is that also? Did you notice any sort of surges since when they was
I
on
mean,
NXT?
Rascals in July were our top seller by a
Oh, there
considerable
we go.
amount. And it's just opening their eyes to, I mean, the shirt itself has been out for a year now. It's
Yeah,
just opening their eyes out to a new audience who might not be familiar with the Rascals week out, or might be not be familiar with their merchandise. So just people being able to see that and that being reinforced on NXT has been really good for us. So I'm really thankful for all three of them for wearing that on NXT and TNA.
yeah, definitely. So it would help. Now, obviously, over here in the UK, very, very soon, we do have a kind of a big event called, or AEW have a big event called All In at Wembley. I know you've done a bit last year. Tell everyone about this year. What have you got planned for All In this year?
So I'll be launching my first ever proper pop-up shop. It'll be sort of a stone's throw away from Wembley Stadium in the Cuddle Club. And yeah, so there will be early bird tickets on sale very soon. We'll be announcing a meet and greet very soon, probably in the next week or two. And yeah, so I anticipate you've had a lot of demand already, and there'll be a lot of exclusive merchandise there that won't be available afterwards, including the likes of John Moxley and Will Ospreay. So that would just be stuff exclusively at the shop. And yeah, it'll be really interesting to see everyone coming down for the show. And getting to meet a lot of people who've purchased merchandise in the past is always a great experience. So really excited for that.
Yeah, definitely. So, are they going to be a Saturday and a Sunday thing, or just one a day?
Um, the Sunday for now is all we have
Yes.
announced.
That's good because today I can't do it. I can't get down there on
No,
a Saturday, so I'm
yeah.
coming on the Sunday. So I'm definitely going to be popping in. Listen, Alan, it's been great to talk to you about how this comes together. I can only wish you the greatest success with this. It's really for me. You've kind of like yourself. You've kind of brung two loves together with the football and the wrestling side. And I wish you and the team there all the very best. And I will definitely look forward to seeing you on Sunday at All In.
Yeah, thank you for your time. It's been great to talk to you as well. And I'll see you down on Sunday. I anticipate a lot of people coming down as well. So I'll make sure to get you in early.
Please. I'll get myself an early bird ticket actually to make sure I can get there for sure. Just coming up on the channel, just before I let Alan go, coming up on the channel, we've got a big thanks to EC3, another one you could maybe look at for coming on recently. Mike Mondo, formerly of the Spirit Squad, I'll come on as well. It's fantastic to talk to those guys. A big thanks to those, and obviously big thanks to TNA for me personally for allowing me to interview a lot of their talent so far. It's been very, very, very fruitful for us. But Alan, thank you very much for coming on the show. I will see you at All In. Don't forget to check these guys out. What's the socials and the internet for the
It's
website?
Blacksmith Apparel on all socials, Blacksmith without any vowels, so BLCKSMTH.
I was gonna say, was that a reason for that?
No.
No, just an
No,
idea. But no,
no.
just without the vouch. Perfect. So there you go, guys. Get some of those shirts. They are brilliant. There's a load available online, as you say, some new exclusive stuff dropping as well. So do not miss out on that. And this has been the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. And until next time, everybody, buckle down, stay safe, and good night.